Welcome to the Rugby League Outsiders Set of 6, our weekly news show where we cover the good, the great and the noteworthy of Rugby League outside the heartlands. My name's Craig.
And my name's Karl, and on this week's Set of 6 we'll be talking about the fact that the World Club Challenge is in doubt. We'll also have a roundup of the National Championship in the Women's League, and we'll also be talking about the playoffs, who's in, who's out.
Yeah, exciting times. The playoffs, I've got to say, I've been absolutely blown away with the game so far. In all levels, all tiers of Rugby League, especially Super League. Obviously, real mouth-watering games this weekend. Obviously, check out our weekly prediction video where we'll be going right in depth there. But, Karl, just quickly, what's your expectations of games this weekend?
Oh, I think they're going to be absolutely nail-biting. If last weekend's anything to go by, we're going to have just quality Rugby League. I mean, it was, I would say, the most action-packed weekend of Rugby League we've had so far this year, and the quality of the games has been unbelievable. Yeah,
so check out that weekly show. Right, on to our Set of 6 then, Karl. You picked out 6 really interesting news stories. On to tackle one then, so the women's national finals. We was there.
Yeah, so London Broncos, the winners of the Southern Championship, took on Lee Leopards, the winners of the Northern Championship, in the national final. Played in Birmingham at the Alexander Stadium, and it was a cracking game. Great to see two sides playing against each other who have never played before. Great for the sport and great for Women's Rugby League.
My thoughts, it was an occasion where the RFL seemed to back it really well. It was getting streamed to a high level. I know there was a bit of a hiccup between the actual stream feeds, but as you walked in, the RFL had put some flags up. You know, they had a big graphics board there for the winner. The medals were great. I've not seen medals like that before. They had the tournament there. Courtney Winfield Hill was there to present the medals. They went at it, and it was good to see because I think the RFL have been failing in that department on some, like you go to like the Midlands final, the Southern Conference finals. They kind of miss it a little bit, but they obviously realise that the women's game is growing and it's growing quickly. Therefore, they need to back it. So, and we definitely saw that with lots of representatives from the RFL there. So, we don't often do it, but pat on the back to the RFL.
Yeah, I thought it was a great occasion. And talking about the rugby, the quality that was on show, it was quality Rugby League, wasn't it? I mean, it sort of went into it. I thought, my honest opinion, Lee, more experienced side, probably going to be a bit too strong for London. You know, London's still an up-and-coming side. Great set of athletes on that London team, but honestly, within 10 minutes, it was all London, wasn't it? They took the game to Lee. They were the quicker side, and I honestly thought we were going to see a bit of a whitewash in the first sort of 15, 20 minutes.
I agree. And it was like Lee just went, okay, London, show us what you've got. And it's like they sat back and just waited to see what they could throw at them, to see and almost work out what level they're at instead of like having belief. I mean, this team have gone unbeaten this year. You know, they've got a massive squad, you know, of talented players. They're bringing new players in all the time with lots of pedigree as well. Instead of backing themselves and just going at it straight from the start, they just went, you know what, we'll just see how good they are. You know what I mean? We'll feel them out. And then luckily, they managed to absorb a ton of pressure. I mean, they were camped out on their line for a long time with London just driving, you know, and they managed to absorb an early tries from London as well.
Yeah.
They managed to absorb it, and then the tables started to turn just not long before half time.
Yeah, they went in at half time 8-8, and I was actually quite shocked that it was a tie at half time because I thought London were the much better side in certainly the first 20 minutes. I think London were 2 tries up quite quickly. Lee managed to grind their way through the game and go through the gears, and I think a little bit of experience started to show. I think that, they've got some ex-England internationals playing in that Lee squad, and they ground their way back into it, and it was 8-8 at half time, and it was all to play for at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was hard to sort of identify where they would get themselves back in the game, but I think some good tactical kicking and a few errors on London's behalf just allowed them in, and then obviously they just started building on that, and then it was just really hard fought. Like no team was giving the other team any quarter. You know, they were just at it. So it was nail biting stuff when we kicked off the second half.
Yeah, so the second half it went pretty much backwards and forwards, and the Leeds swapped 4 times in that second half. Eventually, Lee just managed to pip them at the end. I think there was a few errors from London. Maybe, like I say, probably a little bit of a game experience. You know, let Lee over the line, and Lee managed to get the win in the end.
And how many tackles were held up?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty.
Try attempts were held up. There was loads held up. So kudos to the defence on both sides. Those little aspects of the games, you know, if we cast our mind back 2 years when you first started watching like Women's Super League, there were lots of little errors there, and you could see that it was like a developing sport. But what you've clearly got now is girls with talent, understanding the game, with pace, with power, executing stuff well. It's becoming really, really exciting.
Yeah, so this sets up, so League progress, so all of that, they've won the national final. They've now got a chance at Super League. So they will play Featherstone Rovers, who came bottom of the Super League. They'll play them on the same day that York play St Helens for the Super League final. So that takes place Sunday the 6th of October at 4:30 at the Totally Wicked Stadium. So, you know, best of luck to Lee in that.
Yeah, and there's a couple of people we've featured on the show before. So Siobhan down at London, you know, it was good to see her just absolutely smashing it up in the centre of the pitch there. Well played. And also Freya, who was a squad player for the weekend.
Yeah.
But just to see her, you know, her progress through Rugby League, you know, giving her something to work towards has been brilliant. I'm expecting big things for her next season.
So we did manage to catch up. We caught a few interviews, didn't we? We caught up with Colin Baker, the London Broncos head coach. Apologies about the sound a little bit. It was incredibly windy, but we thought it was still best to bring you Colin's view on the game, and here it is.
Well, first of all, obviously congratulations to Lee, who were worthy winners in the end, and good luck to them for next week in their promotion playoff. Been a really challenging season, but to see these ladies come here today and play like that, and you know, we could have sneaked the win today. I think if you were the neutral watching that game today, you'd first of all say that's a really cracking game of rugby league, and that's the important bit for us, rugby league. And perhaps in the past that's where we've struggled. We haven't enough proper rugby league games. You know, we play Cardiff is always a big battle for us, but perhaps we've not been challenged in that way, and that's why we need to come and play in these games.
That game was in the balance. He could have won that.
Yes.
You know, he really, really could have won that, and he was bitterly disappointed, which matched the weather. Hence the wind and what have you. Big things coming for London, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited to follow their progression for the next couple of years, because between them and Cardiff Demons, two really strong sides in the south, it'd be really nice to see one of them, you know, eventually make up into that Super League ladder.
And Colin Baker nominated for Coach of the Year as well in the Community Volunteer Awards.
Yes.
So good luck in that. All right, so just concentrating on the Lee side, the winners for a second there. We spoke to Storm Cobain, who we spoke about on the show before, and then afterwards we caught up with Lee Leopard's owner Derek Beaumont.
Feels amazing. It's actually really hard to put into words. Obviously, it wasn't the easiest game, and we weren't always in the lead, and it London definitely gave us a really hard competition for that. But I have to say, it feels good to lift another trophy, and it feels good to wear another medal.
I don't really know what was happening in the first 10 minutes, really. Just seemed that we weren't getting off our line and shutting them down like we normally do. So had a few hard words with ourselves behind the posts and finally got into it, thankfully. But yeah, there were some hard runners in that team, so I think we were just sort of feeling them out, we'll put it that way. We got our long coach journey back, and then we're all in work tomorrow morning, so we can't celebrate too hard. And we go again against Featherstone next week. Obviously played rugby union back home from Belfast in Northern Ireland. We don't really have a lot of rugby league back there. Moved over here for uni. Still didn't pick up rugby league whenever I was at Edgehill University, and had to wait until I moved to Luton to play for Bedford Tigers. So it's been a whirlwind 3 years, but really it definitely suits my game better. Those hard lines, the big tackles, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, it's what it's all about, isn't it? Big supporter of women's rugby. My wife was massively behind it right from its inception, so we've always sponsored what was the Miners and then built it into the Leopards. So I had a choice today, either go and watch United and Spurs in my box at Old Trafford, or come and support the women, and here I am, and what a tight game. Rugby League, the thing that impresses me most about rugby league is its inclusivity. So not just the diversity, but the fact that, you've got wheelchair rugby, physical disadvantage rugby, learning difficulty rugby, women's rugby, men's rugby. It's like covers all spectrums and allows you to be the best version that you can be. And I think women's sport's massive at the moment, and everybody should have the right to play it.
Awesome to speak to Ireland international and Lee Leopards player Storm Cobain there. We've spoke about her a few times throughout the season, and also Derek Bowman, one of the great characters in rugby league right now. Karl, what did you take from what he was saying?
Well, first of all, he didn't have his jacket on, so I was disappointed with that. No, all honesty, I think Lee have really backed the women's game, and it's showing the rewards for it now. They've got a really healthy squad. I mean, they're right in the middle of Rugby League heartlands, aren't they? On the edge of Wigan. So yeah, but they've really invested into the squad, and it's paying dividends for them. It was also interesting to speak to him about obviously Lee's big up and coming game in the playoffs this weekend.
Do you know what? I always enjoy going to Wigan because for me they're the pinnacle of the game in this country. A lot of people think. They don't like me saying that, but it's the truth, and they're where they are with all the trophies they've got for the reason, they're the world champions. Ironically, they're the only team that has the Leopards we've never beat. So, on Saturday we might get that one thing that we've never managed to do as a group with everything we've done over the last 3 years. That's the one task we've not done. But as a borough, we're celebrating 50 years of Wigan and Lee Borough. So it's rather apt that one of us will represent the borough in the final at Old Trafford. I hope it's Lee. If it isn't, then I will be supporting Wigan as much as Warrington and OKR are great clubs as well. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a massive crowd, it'll be a great event and great spectacle for the sport.
And amazing that he took time out to travel. And by the way, he wanted to go and watch Man U Spurs. He's got a box there at Old Trafford, but decided to come and watch the women's team instead at the Alexander Stadium. Now I think that's brilliant for Midlands Rugby League that you get someone like that come in and have a look at these amazing facilities. Now we also caught up with Mike Lomas, who's the owner of the Midlands Hurricanes, and just asked him if he thinks the Alexander Stadium is now on the Rugby League map.
So the Alex, the place, it's perfect for Rugby League. So it's 2 hours away from your Heartlands club, and it's 2 hours away from your non-Heartlands clubs in London and whatnot. It's central of the country, and we can see it from our own growth in terms of organic growth of fans following in the local area. People are interested in Rugby League, and we can see that growing. So having the Alex and hosting some games, if you come around and see the facilities, it's second to none, really. I would argue that this is the best facility in Rugby League as a whole, not just in League One. So yeah, I think it is well and truly on the Rugby League map, and long may it be.
It's exciting that we're getting these big matches in the Midlands. We're in the middle of the country. Like Mike said in that interview, you're as far from the south as you are from the north. It's perfectly situated, and it's just testament to everything that's happening in the Midlands Rugby League-wise. It's going in the right direction.
And it's all just brand new, isn't it? I mean, we were walking around the stadium, and it was like the warmest place in the UK right now is the stairwell at the Alexander Stadium. Like it was thermonuclear in there. Why are they not bloody breeding iguanas? And how come there's not like 100 homeless in there? Because it's just red hot. But everything's brand new. It's an amazing facility. So I hope it gets used more and more.
Yeah, I hope to see more and more of it. And if you want to catch the extended interview with Mike Lomas, it's going to be going out on our YouTube channel later on this week. It goes really into depth about the Midlands Hurricanes season, what they've done well, what they need to improve on. It's really insightful, so yeah, check that out.
Okay, the Hurricanes obviously got their eye on the championship in the next couple of seasons, which brings us on to tackle 2, and that's a championship roundup.
Yeah, so possibly the most exciting...
Can I just have some appreciation for the seamless link there?
Mate, that's what you paid to do.
Yeah, about £3 a day.
Yeah. On to the championship then. The championship concluded this weekend, and we had a great set of results and a really interesting finish to the championship, both at the bottom end of the table and the top end of the table. So I'll go through I'll go through a couple of the results and what impact they had on the season. So, Widnes Vikings defeated Barrow Raiders 26 points to 24. You had Barrow right down the bottom end of the table fighting it out.
And also the standing Rugby League Outsiders host, Mark, will be chuffed to bits because he made that travel, didn't he?
Yes, he did,
up to Cumbria, so lucky to win by 2 points.
Yeah, so they got that win, and that was really important for Widnes because they sneaked into that playoff position with results in other places going their way. Bradford Bulls 50 points to 0 against Swinton, so come on the Bulls.
Yeah, well, you've got to feel for Swinton as well. They're in dodgy ground, aren't they?
Yeah, so I'll get onto that in a minute. Dewsbury Rams, this was the shock win of the weekend. Dewsbury Rams, bottom of the table, nothing to play for, against Sheffield Eagles, who were kind of second and third throughout most of the season, one of the championship top clubs. They lost to Dewsbury and as a result dropped out of the playoffs. So I wouldn't have expected that earlier on in the year. A big win for Toulouse, 64 points to 16 over Batley. Wakefield picked up a big win against Donny, but their season, they're already they're sort of sorted in the playoffs anyway. Whitehaven 23, Halifax 20, and York 16, Featherstone Rovers 6, which also meant that York Knights secured their playoff position on the final week of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, we caught up with Andrew Henderson a couple of weeks ago, and he had his eyes focused on this game, and he knew he had a chance. To see that come to fruition is massive for York.
So we were lucky enough to speak to Andrew Henderson regarding the win, both for the men and for the women who were up and coming in this week's grand finals. Hendo, you've made it into the playoffs. Final week must have been a really exciting game at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, Karl. It was, like I said, it's been an incredible competition. Let's just start with that one. The championship has been so highly competitive and fought this season. We've had plenty of battles down near the bottom of the table, plenty of battles near the top of the table, and to come to the final week and still, I think there may have been 4 teams that still didn't know their fate, whether they were going to make the playoffs or not, based on the final round, is again just a testament to how competitive this championship competition is. But obviously, from our perspective, really, really pleased, that we've managed to secure a playoff place and give ourselves a chance to have a crack at this next competition.
And what was it, do you think, that helped you secure the win at the weekend?
Well, look, I think just. We've obviously, I think personally, we've built some real sort of continuity and consistency in performance in recent weeks. I think the reality is we've built some really good momentum coming into this back end of the season, and certainly from my experience, you've got to be at your best come the business end, and I feel that. I think first and foremost, I've got to give Mark Applegarth a massive rap. I think, the work that he's managed to do with the playing group, along with the other coaching staff and the players themselves, the way they've come together, has been tremendous, in this sort of second half of the season. And like I said, built some wonderful momentum. Again, I think it has helped that we've managed to have some key people on the field, in terms of the spine players. It's been the forward pack has been highly competitive. We've had some really good players missing out in recent weeks, so that again is probably testament to the strength and depth that the squad has now, and it's allowed it now to make sure it's built some continuity. But we've had some key people come back in the last few weeks, which I think Liam Harris, seeing his performance yesterday was outstanding, and again, that for me is what we need coming into the business end. You need your best players fit on the field, and you need the team to be playing well, and it certainly is.
Was there any point in the season where you could sense that there was a shift of momentum, or is it just basic? Do you think it's because you've had sort of players injured this year, and it were a case of getting them back on the field?
Absolutely. Well, again, for me, it was the start of the season was a tough start for us. We sort of built a pre-season with certain players in certain key positions, and I felt we'd had a really good pre-season together. We come into the season and it was just, one thing after another, in terms of players breaking down, especially the spine players. So our sort of 6-7-1 was constantly chopping and changing. Again, there was a lot of other players that were out as well, coming back from sort of medium to long-term injuries. It was. I guess it was probably very disrupted with the sort of first sort of 10 games of the season. And then once we had that break, when I made the transition, obviously, to this new role, and we brought Mark into the club, we were fortunate that we got a few of the troops back for that Dewsbury game. which was probably not be disrespectful to Jews, but it was probably a good game for the new coach to start in. Had a wonderful performance there, beating them 40 points to nil, and then we're able to go to Featherstone the week after with a little bit of confidence. And I think, came from behind. Featherstone got off to a great start at their place in that game from memory, and we came from behind and showed some real resilience and grit to win, comfortably in the end. And then the kind of things have just progressed from there. And then as the season's gone on, the playing group has come together, built more confidence, more continuity within the squad, because we've had similar sort of players playing week in, week out together. And then we've brought some additions in through the year as well, in the likes of Jack Martin, Sam Cook, Joe Law, that have all made a huge impact to the playing group as well. So we're in a good place at the moment as a group. I think that we've got now 27, 28 players fit, all chomping at the bit now, competing for that 17. So it's certainly healthy competition at the moment within the playing group.
Yeah, it sounds like you've got a really strong squad. And how much is an advantage is the home fixture?
Oh, massive. Obviously, it's massive advantage. At the end of the day, you always want to be at home, because your home fans can, and I've said it before, the energy from the fan base can really make a big difference, in terms of, lifting the team at certain points of a game, or, just inspiring them as well, and giving them that extra bit of energy that's needed, because as we know, come playoff time, it's going to be, the intensity raises, the pressure raises to a little bit too, and there's probably going to be a little bit more pressure on us this week, because we will be the favourites going into the competition. We're one of the four form teams of the competition going in the back end. So, but I'm confident in Mark and the rest of the coaching group and the playing group that they'll be ready for it, and then they'll deliver a performance that we can be proud of.
Looking at this week's game then, Widnes, another team who sort of got better towards the back end of the season. Narrow win at the weekend. What do you think you can expect from Widnes?
Well, they're a good side. I mean, Alan Coleman needs a big rap. I think he's done a great job there since going into Widnes, because I think it's common knowledge that they reduced their budget slightly in terms of their playing squad. He's had to make a few changes. He brought a few of his own players in, and I think at the start of the year, I don't think Widnes were given much hope or chance this year. I thought they were written off, to be honest, but I think Alan's done a wonderful job. He's had them playing some great rugby league football. I think they had a great start to the season. I think they had a little bit of a wobble just towards the back end, but not quite, where they fell off the horse, but they've managed to get back on board and get a couple of good results. They pushed Toulouse close a couple of weeks ago, which was no mean feat, and then they obviously had a much-needed win for them in the final day at Barrow, because obviously if they lost on the weekend, they wouldn't have progressed to the playoffs. So, look, we're expecting a stern test, no doubt about it. They're a quality side. They've got some good players within their ranks there, and we'll just we'll focus on ourselves and make sure we can deliver the standards we need to in order to get the job done.
I know it's incredibly insightful, as it always is, chatting to you. The very best of luck for the weekend. We'll be keeping an eye on the scores and what have you.
No, I appreciate that. But also, I think it's only fair to mention that we've got the women in the Super League's grand final this weekend as well. Yeah. So, really pleased as a club that we've managed to not only get the men's team into the playoffs and into that next competition, and as we say, who knows what's going to happen in that one, and hopefully we can be successful there. But also equally, a massive rap to Lindsay Anfield, the coaching team and the playing group from the Valkyrie. I think they've hit some really good form at the back end of the season, obviously, and like I said, now in a grand final and one step away from becoming back-to-back champions, which would be an incredible achievement for the club.
Yeah, not only would it be incredible, it'd be the first time it ever happened, I think, wouldn't it, in the Women's Super League? Yeah. Best of luck to the women as well this week, and thank you for joining us.
I love talking to Andrew Henderson. You always get more than you ask for. He's always really insightful, and he understands, he knows what's going on. And sometimes you'll speak to even like top Super League coaches, and they'll say, "Well, I don't really bother about the opposition too much, and I don't really get caught up in the story of it all." But he does. He clearly knows what every other team is doing, how they've been performing, and he's willing to comment on it. So thanks, Andrew Henderson, for taking the time out to speak to us.
Yeah, so this sets up the playoffs now for the Championship. It'd be great if it was straight into Super League, but we're not, are we? But anyway, so Bradford Bulls finished third place. They're going to be taking on Featherstone Rovers, who finished in sixth. York Knights, 4th placed, are going to be taking on Widnes Vikings, 5th place. So the two teams that are already through, you've got Toulouse and Wakefield are already into that next round. It works just like the Super League playoffs does. So Wakefield, finishing top of the league, will play the lowest placed semi-finalists. So that would be, well, it's going to be either Featherstone in it or York Widnes, whoever wins that one. And Toulouse will play the other side. So yeah, it's a cracking end to the championship season.
And if nothing else, extra IMG points to play for. You know, there's not a lot of points,
definitely,
in it, but you know, everybody's scrambling to get as many points as they can. All right, so from the Championship, we're going to move back to the Midlands now, and we've got the Southern Regionals final.
Well, yeah, not back to the Midlands, but back to the South. The Southern Regionals finals took place this weekend, and the Midlands side came out winners on this occasion.
All right, so this was a chance for London and the South East to defend their title. They won it last year, and it was at the same place, Hemel Hempstead. So the Pennines Stadium, I think it is, which is a great name, Pennines. Yep. So obviously the Midlands went on and won that, but it was actually quite an interesting little tournament because London drew twice, right? Obviously, you know, playing the other teams, and the only thing then that set them apart was Midlands beating the East,
right? You know?
Yeah. So in effect, Midlands took the win. Player of the festival was Andy Prosser of Oxford, so good effort to him. And then notable performances from Brayton Taylor of Sherwood Wolf Hunt and also Liam Cashman of Telford Raiders, one of our own that we've had on the show as well. And them players now get a chance to be selected for the Southern Lionhearts team, and they could go on to play GB Teachers or other teams as well. So really excited for them.
There was an England Lionhearts side the other year, and none of the Southern players were even put in for contention for the England Lionhearts, which left a bit of a sour taste in a few people's mouths, for being honest, because we know the quality that's playing rugby league in the South, in the Midlands, in the East, but there is going to be a Southern Lionhearts side this year, so it gives the players a chance, for all the hard work they've done all season, a chance to wear that England badge. I think it's great that that opportunity is there. Yeah,
it's, you know, to go through that, people need a clear route for progression and to challenge themselves in the future. You know, it's no good just having, you know, the end of the line being your community game. You know, the very best players need to feel like there's a chance to move on and do more. So, you know, it can only be a good thing. Good effort to all those that have played in those games, in that tournament, and well done for putting your hand up and getting selected, and good luck for moving forward. Okay, going to move on to Tackle 4. Now, this is one thing that a lot of people, regardless of who you support, will be interested in. That is the chance that the World Club Challenge may not take place next year.
Now, I kind of predicted this weeks ago. As soon as I heard which teams were going to be taking part in Vegas, it were almost like, should we be having the World Club Challenge in Vegas? But I suppose it's too early, and they want to sell tickets, don't they? So, but yeah, that was the downside of Vegas happening, was the fact that the World Club Challenge may be put into jeopardy, and essentially that's what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance that it may still happen. There's just a few different criteria that needs to be fulfilled.
a little bit,
in order for it to go. So I'll bring it up on the screen now, but basically, let's look at, there's a couple of different factions. Okay, obviously there's the Aussie side, there's the English side. Let's take the Aussie side to start with. So if Melbourne win, right,
the Australian Grand Final,
in upcoming, you know, they're crowned like the premiers, whatever, then they are committed to playing the UK. All right, so they're going to be like, okay, we're going to play it, because they're not involved in Vegas, are they?
No.
All right, so now if Penrith win,
then
they will play if it's in Australia.
Right.
So that means that the British team has got to forfeit their what do they call it? Their advantage of playing at home, and they've got to be willing to travel to the UK. Who pays for that and all that kind of? I don't know. You know what I mean? But if anyone does know, then please let us know. So that's that, right? So that's from the Australian side. Now let's look at the British side. So if either Warrington or Wigan win, that means they will have to travel to Australia to play Penrith, right? Potentially, and then within
travel to Vegas week after.
Then we. So there's just so much travel there. So much travel there. So that makes it unlikely because of that onward travel to Vegas. Okay, now if Hull KR or Lee win, it could go ahead, right?
And they might travel to Australia.
But they may in order for it to go ahead, they would have to travel to Australia. If it's a Penrith win, if it's a Melbourne win, then fair enough. Now the best case scenario is that Melbourne win
the NRL Grand Final,
right? And
Lee or Hull KR win the British Super League.
You got it. Second best is that Penrith win and KR or Lee win the British. Okay. After that, it's doubtful it's going to take place. What is your take on that, first of all?
My take on it is this is just standard rugby league practice. It's just some things just aren't thought about, are they? Especially when we come to lining things up internationally. It's like between Australia and Britain, we just don't seem to quite get it right. Look, Vegas is incredibly exciting. It has to happen. It's going to put the sport on a bigger stage. But then it's at the detriment of something else. And the World Club Challenge, in my opinion, they should keep building it up every year, and because it's something you can sell globally, I believe, and it's something that can bring in big sponsorship. What I would say, I've always thought this, actually. I think the World Club Challenge is actually at the wrong time. So we play it at the start of the next season. And in my opinion, it should be played at the end of the NRL and the Super League seasons, because you get a different team playing anyway. If you have 10 players leave at the end of the season, the team you end up going into the World Club Challenge with isn't even the side that you've won the league with. So I'd love to see it at the end of the season, somewhere neutral maybe, that try and get some big sponsorship behind it, and sell it like it's the bloody Super Bowl, or it's just a culmination of rugby league, isn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree. And there's also the potential to do you have the World Club Challenge in Vegas? But I think that's wrong, because we need as many big games as we can get. We're already limited by internationals and high quality internationals. So to just bring the newly formed Vegas fixture and the World Club Challenge and meld, you're losing the potential for this big game. So the other thing that I'll say is, now I know you, Karl, right, and I know that you will chase an opportunity, right. So the Vegas is just like, it was like on the back of a drunken text. It was an opportunity. Let's go for it. Yeah. Right. And all right, then had time to really consider the outcome and all this kind of thing. But is it better that we chase those big opportunities and then do the best we can with what the outcome is, or that we play it safe and we don't do these new things?
No, don't play it safe. We've got to go.
Exactly.
Don't play it safe. Yeah. But there should have been more thought gone behind it. Like it's just what I keep saying is that somebody needs to get the international house in order, and NRL and Super League need to be better aligned. I think there's too many games in both competitions. Reduce them and have these bigger, have these bigger finals. Like the World Club Challenge, it should be massive. And I think British fans are really getting behind it, and we have for years. Don't think the Australians have quite got behind it in previous years. However, St Helens going down under and winning the other year, and Wigan winning again, I think they're actually starting to take note.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Real interesting talking point. All right. We're going to move on then. So from the World Club Challenge to wheelchair news and our regular spot with John Seeger.
Yeah. So the wheelchair semi-finals took place this weekend, with Halifax coming out on top 60 points to 38 against London Roosters, and Leeds Rhinos 56 points to 38 against Wigan Warriors. So it's going to be a Leeds Halifax final. The two best sides in the competition this year be first, second, and we've got a wheelchair update.
So the final score from the Edge Centre here in Leeds for the 2024 Betfred Wheelchair Playoff Semi-Final: Leeds Rhinos 56, Wigan Warriors 36, and for the 5th year in a row, the Rhinos have made the grand final. Very tense start though, and the Wigan were absolutely good from the gun, scoring 18 points in a row, but the Rhinos showed their quality. 4 fantastic tries from Josh Butler and 28 points from Nathan Collins, gave him the 56-36 win. I spoke to both coaches and the player in the match, Josh Butler, after the game. James Simpson, you're through to the grand final, 56-36 win. Congratulations. Great to be back in the final again.
finals are always pretty special, aren't they? It's the game everyone wants. You know, you start off the year, you know you've got a bit of a battle on your hands, and you know you want to make the final at the end of the year. And I'm really proud of the players. You know, it's not just tonight; it's all year. They've turned up every single game. They've bought in to everything we've done in training. They've bought into everything we've done away from the field, and it's shown in the performances. And tonight they're putting a really good performance and, you know, beat an absolutely quality Wigan side, a side that love playing rugby league like we do. You know, it was, no doubt, it was an incredible watch. But mate, yeah, we're going back to the grand final.
After that first 20 minutes, it seems like you just took a stranglehold in that game, that second half of the first half.
Well, mate, the knockout games, and like league games, you can push it a bit, you can do this, you can do that, because you know you're going to go again the next week. But knockout games, mate, they can be ugly, they can be fisticuffs, they can be dirty, not physical fisticuffs, but you know, like it can be like that, and that's all the game is at that start. You just got to ride it out, mate. You got to know that you're feeling each other out, and then once you get into the groove of it, mate, that's when the rugby comes, and that's what happened for both teams today.
And two of your performances today from Josh Butler and Nathan Collins, definitely, would you say, valid for the Rulers of Steels from this performance today?
I think they've been fantastic all year, mate. You know, it's hard when you've got three quality players like that who've been named, do you know, Wheels of Steel. You kind of got to say to them, like, put all that behind you now. It doesn't mean anything at the moment. We've got to play today, but that's something we'll be celebrating at the end of the year when if one of them wins it. But just to get nominated, special for them, mate. And I think having three players from our club nominated just shows how much the players have given to the team. If three of your players are getting nominated, that just speaks volume about how much they're sharing the work, they're sharing the graft and the load. And mate, I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of all of them, mate. They've all been fantastic this year. Georgie's been outstanding. You know, Becky's getting into the fold now. She got on there today, which I'm really proud of. So I'm proud of all the players, mate.
I noticed the stat today, you used every single player for the first time in the knockout game.
I tried to use all my interchanges. I think I might have used 7.
No, I used 8.
Yeah, well, there you go. I wanted to use every single interchange, and I used 8, and that was really what I wanted to do. But yeah, I could have got Becky on sooner. I did say to her, but she, you know, it's her first year back in the game, first year playing Super League, so she recognises it's a journey, and she's still got a few more ways to go. But I'm hoping next year, with a bit of a format shift, we can get these fringe players, who they are at the moment, playing bigger minutes in bigger games.
So looking to the grand final now, it's against Halifax Panthers, your arch rivals from across the Pennines, across Yorkshire.
Yorkshire Derby, innit?
Yorkshire Derby. It's exciting.
Yeah, mate, it's exciting. To be honest, I didn't care who we got. The game happened earlier today. I didn't watch it. I didn't look at it. I wasn't really bothered. You know, I was just fixated on this game. I had no impact on what happened at that game. So, yeah, we'll start thinking about it in the week. You know, we've played them twice this week already. Yeah, mate, we'll adapt to the team we've got coming up in 2 weeks.
How big is it to break how big is it to break the curse of the last 3 finals?
I don't think it's a curse, mate. I think you play. You just got to take each one differently, and I'm quite unemotional. I move on to the next game in hand, and you know, obviously Wigan won last year, and they were just fantastic. It was a great performance, and mate, we just you approach each game as a new game, don't you? And I'm not big on all the voodoo that comes with it. I'm quite an unemotional person with it.
Would you like to win it again?
Mate, I want to win every game. Yeah, I never go out there thinking, mate, we don't want to win this game. I want to win every single game. And it's shown this year, league leaders for the 5th year in a row, making our 5th Super League grand final. Mate, we go out there to win every single game.
Fantastic crowd here again. You said you wanted one last week. You got it.
I think, yeah, I don't know how many you had. I tried to count and I got stopped at 150. So I think we had just over 150, maybe 152 or something. But yeah, it was a really good crowd, mate.
We'll see you in Hull. Congratulations.
See you in Hull, mate. Yeah, thank you.
So I'm here with Josh Butler. Congratulations. You're back in the grand final. 56-36 win. That was, wow, what a performance from yourself. 4 tries. And I've got to say, you've got to call you snake hips now, because you were absolutely brilliant out there today.
I know, I've got a decent core about me, but yeah, we made it to the grand final last year, but we didn't manage to get over the line. So we said we're going to try and do one better this year. And who better to go against than Wigan? They're a class team. They have been for years. And we knew that they won't stop fighting until the very end. So we knew we set our target. We knew what we had to do. So it was just a case of just converting any chance we could get.
Very hard start, especially that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't get the start we wanted, but we knew that as the game went on, we'd be able to grow into it. Simo was sat next to me, and before I went on, he went, I'm not worried yet. It's an 8-minute game. See, it's not decided in the very beginning. It's not. It's how you finish it more than else.
That's a fantastic performance from yourself and from Nathan Collins as well.
Ever reliable, Nathan Collins. From the tee, in play kicking, you can't fault him at times. When he's on it, and it's easy to play off him when he's like that.
And word for yourself, snake hips?
Eat your Weetabix, boys. It works. No, just all your work in the background, it pays off. That's all I can say.
So your grand final, you're up against your rivals, Halifax, a repeat at the 2022 final. Yeah. Bit of rivalry in the air, bit of redemption, you want to say?
I'd not say redemption. It's a game at the end of the day, so you've got to boil it down to that and don't try and build up anything over yourself. It's 5 players against 5 players, and it's what you can do on the field that'll count.
The last 3 finals you lost. It'd be good to win this one.
Don't remind me. Yeah, it'd be nice to get one back again, but I don't really know what to say. We're going to go and try his best. Yeah. End of.
You're going to celebrate tonight, though?
Yeah, I might have a nice little takeaway and maybe full sugar Coke instead of Diet Coke, have a nice little drink. So,
well, congratulations on the win. Well, Phil Roberts, your reign as Super League champions end today with a 56-36 defeat today, but a very, very good performance, would you say, in a good semi-final?
Yeah, I think in some ways it was a really good performance. Obviously, there were times where they were clinical and we lost our way a bit. We knew that we needed a fast start, and I think we got that, and I think they were rattled. And I think Josh coming on changed the game in both halves, really. He made such a difference.
Of course, we're going to try and get to the game and bring you all the news from that. I would also be checking in with the coaches and team captains ahead of the game, if we can line it all up. Right, moving on then, Karl, to tackle 6. And the question I want to pose today, well, first of all, let me tell you where it came from. I saw a post on the internet, right? This guy having his 79th birthday playing Masters Rugby League for Siddle. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Yeah. I then got a text message from my mum saying, have you seen your great uncle Brian playing on his 79th birthday? I was like, my great uncle Brian, what are you talking about? It turns out this guy, this legend who's playing Masters Rugby League at Siddle, we're related. He's my grandma's brother. Right, so which I didn't know, but it's phenomenal. Now the backstory from this, and I don't know too much about it, but I will do a little bit of digging throughout the family. Is that he was actually a bit of a latecomer to Masters Rugby League. He's not long actually been playing in reality, but he's just hooked. He's addicted to it. Yeah. Through my cousin who I mentioned last week, Jason Greenwood McDonald, and he's been playing. And now he's played at 79 years old. Which is just awesome. Now, my question here is, do we do enough to attract ageing players? Like new players to the game through initiatives like Masters, like X-League, touch rugby even, you know what I mean? Walking rugby. Have we got enough emphasis? Because the way I see it is that if we can attract players to come and have a look at that, they may want to become fans of their local club, their local pro club, and get involved in the crowd there.
Do we do enough to attract new players? I mean, there are like you've just labelled there. There's loads of different variations of rugby league that people of all ages can play, and I think the backbone of it is there for players of all ages. I think it's the most inclusive sport in the world. We've always said that. So the options are there. Do we promote it enough? Probably not. That's what I would say. But I mean, there's a lot of players get involved in Masters Rugby League, isn't there? When they've stopped playing. But I suppose they're people who are already connected with clubs.
This is the thing you're saying. There's a lot of players, and there is a lot of players, but there's a lot of players don't as well.
Yeah, there is.
You look around the clubs that we've played for. A lot of these players, especially my kind of era, they're prime for Masters. Yeah. There's not many playing Masters Rugby League. So,
And I suppose there isn't that many Masters clubs knocking about, is there? I mean, I'm generalising the whole country here, but I mean, I'm just looking at what teams we have around us. There are a few teams, but there isn't a team at every club. Be interested to know a bit more about up north, how many teams are out there. But I mean, there are a lot of competitions and festivals that are taking place. I know the RFL have a dedicated Masters team. that work putting on all these events up and down the country, and I think they run them as like festivals. So it'll be like a festival in Blackpool, and then there'll be a festival in the Midlands, but do we promote it? I mean, I don't know what would be the options if you was in charge and you wanted to promote it to new aging players. Where would you go about advertising?
Well, I think you've got to strip it back a little bit further than that, because there's obviously a couple of different routes and different organisations involved. So there's the RFL and the Masters organisation with the RFL. So what do they do? But also them facilitating better advertising and better marketing by the clubs themselves, and also incentives to create a club. So we just don't know the ins and outs of it, do we? So, perhaps we could do some digging and get a bit more about this. But yeah. I just thought, if this guy started relatively late and is now, it's a feel-good story in rugby league, isn't it?
Yeah.
And quite often we don't get a lot of those, and of which we want more, Yep. And I just thought, is that an untapped area? And, I think there's lots of people that would be like, oh, I'm too old.
Do you know what? Do all Super League clubs have a Masters side? I don't think they do,
No.
And that could be an area, not just Super League, I mean Championship clubs as well. That could be an area where we may be missing out.
That's what I'm saying.
If you've got 20,000 fans going to Saints v Warrington or whatever, and there's advertising going on for the a Saints Masters or Warrington, may exist. Sorry, if they don't, I don't. But I'm pretty sure not all clubs have a Masters side connected to them.
No, and you look at any crowd on a Super League. A Super League supporters crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't tell me you can't form a Masters team from the people in that crowd.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, you must be able to. So, anyway, I just thought it was an interesting talking point, and fair play, great Uncle Brian. I'll be following on your little rugby league journey, and hopefully we'll get you on the show and have a bit of a conversation as well. Right, Karl, any final words before we move on? What can people look forward to this week?
Our prediction episode is online at the minute. That just seems to be flying at the minute, and we have had over 250,000 views now on the YouTube channel, so thank you to everybody that continues to support. We'll be at the women's final hopefully this week. We're also looking at going to the wheelchair final, and obviously the Super League grand final in the men's is all coming up this week, so we'll try and get to as much as we can and bring you as much inside information as we possibly can.
Okay, so until next week, take care.